Hello, my most amazing artists! We are taking a closer look this month at the art of Charley Harper. He was born in Cincinnati, Ohio, and he grew up on the farm. He loved drawing animals, and today we are going to draw an owl. Charley Harper's style was known as minimal realism, where the animals looked very real, but he used very minimal shapes and lines. You are going to need a piece of paper, or you can draw inside of your art journal, a pencil, and something to color with. Colored pencils, crayons, or markers, anything works. We have been talking about the elements of art: line, shape, form, space, color, value, and texture. These are the tools that an artist uses to create. We are going to start with using lines and shapes to get started drawing our owl. The first line you want to make is a little curved line for the top of your owl. You want to keep that towards the top of your paper. And then you want to make a diagonal line up and then around for the one side of your owl, and then again another diagonal, and then come to a point, and then come around for the other side of your owl. This next line looks like one of those flying birds. You want to make a curved line, and then it comes to a point, and then it kind of makes a V and goes out the other side. So if you've ever made one of those flying birds, they kind of look a little bit like that. That's going to be for the top part of the eyes. Next, you want to create a curved line for one eye, and then you want to go to the other side and make a curved line for the other. You want to make a tiny little circle inside of the owl's eyes. I made a little tiny circle and then kind of another tiny little organic shape. Those are the catch lights inside of the owl. Those are the parts that are not going to be colored. You want to then make another curved line around the line you've already made, and that is going to make up the owl's eyes. There's a lot of curved lines, and it can get a little tricky. So you can see I'm making another curved line for the face. If I'm going too fast, please pause the video, get caught up, and then come back. Do not stress out. For the feathers on the side, for the wings, there's another curved line on that side and one on the other as well. And then the inside for the fur, it's kind of like a zigzag line on one side and then a zigzag on the other. Remember, please pause if I am going too fast. Add another zigzaggy line on the top of the head for the fur as well. You want to always aim for your best and trust in your ability to learn. This can get a little challenging, so again, pause the video if you're feeling like you're not able to catch up. For the feet, you can see I made a curved line and then two diagonals on the inside, and it kind of looks like two little Pac-Man feet. So go ahead and work on your Pac-Man feet. And then right behind the feet, you want to add the branch. Be careful when you're drawing the branch that it goes behind the feet. So see how I'm going right to the foot? I'm going there and then a little bit that way. It looks like the owl is actually sitting on the branch if you're mindful to try to make the line go behind it. Now you just need a tail, which is 2 lines down. And on the inside, we're going to add a little bit of texture. So how I'm creating this texture is by using lines. You can create your texture with whatever kind of lines you want. You can see I'm kind of making those loopy lines on the top part of my owl's face to create a little bit of texture on the front there. I'm also going to create some texture on the eyes by using some diagonal lines all around the outside edges. And these lines are pretty close together. And then in the next area, I'm going to make some more diagonal lines, but these ones are spread a little further apart. You may add texture on your owl however you'd like, with whatever kind of lines you would like to use. Here, I'm adding some zigzag lines on the wings. And I'm just repeating them throughout. I am adding these tiny little U shapes on the front for some added texture, and then I'm just using tiny little vertical lines for some more texture throughout my owl. Charley Harper usually didn't put this much detail into his work, but today I really wanted to focus on texture and how we can use lines to add more texture in our drawings. So see what you can do. I can't wait to see what types of texture you decide to add for your owl. Did you know there are over 200 different species of owls? You can decide to create your owl to be whatever type you want. I decided that I was going to make a snowy owl. So you can see I've added some snowflakes as well to go with the scene. I've also decided that I wanted to outline all of the lines with Sharpie. You do not need to do this step, but if you would like, you can go ahead and do the same. If you have some kind of Sharpie or a black marker and you want to outline all of your lines, you can do that now. I actually have the regular Sharpie, the fine point, and then I have an ultra fine point. So I like to sometimes go with my ultra fine point in some of the smaller areas. For example, the snowflakes and the different textures throughout the owl, I decided to use the ultra fine point. So if you have those and you'd like to do that, you can do that as well. Also, when you're done, you want to erase any of the extra pencil lines around your owl as well. Usually when I'm outlining, I don't always exactly trace the line. Sometimes I'm a little bit over a little bit. So I like to erase some of the extra lines. Now I'm going in with the colored pencil and I'm going to start coloring. Again, if you have colored pencils or crayons or markers, whatever you have to add color, baby, color, you want to do that. As always, I am very carefully coloring in my owl. It looks like I'm going super fast, but I'm actually very, very careful about the lines I am making. I usually try to color in one direction and then I color in the other direction to make the colors nice and bold, or actually in this case for the eyes to make them super dark. I'm actually a little further away from my table than I like to be, so it's a little bit harder for my arm to make it as dark as the original, but I am trying to still make that pretty dark for you to see how I would actually color that. So again, lines in one direction, lines in the other direction, and that keeps the consistency of the lines really close together, so it makes that really nice, even effect. Since I am making a snowy owl, I'm not going to add any color, but you are welcome to add more color to yours. I'm going to keep it just lights and dark grays because most of my owl is kind of white. So I'm using a gray pencil to outline some of the extra lines and texture that I created, and I'm just lightly shading around those areas. Value is another element of art, and value is just when you have light and dark areas. So around my wings, I am making it a little dark in some areas and then a little lighter in others. So I'm just creating this sense of value with my colored pencil, focusing on some areas to be a little darker and others to be a little more light. So again, with the tail, I am doing that same thing. It's a little darker on the bottom and a little lighter towards the top. For my leaves, I am also going to create a little sense of value by using different colors of green. So I've used one color of a green and now I've got another one on top to kind of make those light and dark areas. When you focus on value when you're drawing and coloring, it adds a little bit of dimension into your artwork. Now I am coloring the branch brown, and I'm going to now focus on my background using crayons. You can see I've used colored pencils for my owl, and I'm using crayons for my background. I am using two different materials. When we mix our materials, this is known as mixed media. I am using more than one material. Remember, when you are coloring, to please practice careful coloring. You can see I am coloring with my lines all in one direction. I'm using vertical strokes. And then when I am done, I go back in the opposite direction and color again with some horizontal. I've also decided to add a little bit of pink on top to add a little bit more dimension to my sky, but you can do whatever you like for your artwork. You can see I am finishing up the last and final touches. I cannot wait to see what you create. It can be whatever you choose. Ta-da!